Rated opened himself up to those kind of grabs. He has his possible Zyra pick here. Are we going to see it again? It didn't really make too much of an impact for Fnatic in that last game because CLG just didn't really mind about the CC. They were knocked up, they were silenced, they were snared, but they just took all that damage anyway. It didn't make any issue to them. Maybe you're going to look for something a bit more like a Taric that can get through that CC. Maybe you can reduce their armor, or maybe there's something else up their sleeve, maybe something more aggressive in the bottom lane perhaps.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Fnatic are looking like they're going to try the tried and tested Zyra support once again. It has been N-Rated's preferred champion this entire tournament. Ezreal has been locked in. Wrinkles is going to be running him this time. So Yellow Pete's not going to have Ezreal. We'll see who he's going to be comboed with in this bottom lane alongside Blitzcrank. The possibility for Corki is there. We have seen Graves once or twice. So we'll see whether or not that's actually going to play out. But that champion was not banned. Froggen is hovering over it, and we may get to see Wicked playing Irelia if the champion gets locked in.
You see currently on screen there's a couple of Fnatic players switching out their masteries, looking at what their picks are going to be. Peke heading across, still discussing it with his team and deciding it. But in the meanwhile, CLG looking very calm and collected. Wicked doesn't even have his hands on the keyboard. They know where they're going. They've got this in their mind. They're just waiting, comfortably discussing it as a squad, and they do lock in that bottom lane and, as you said, the top lane. Corki is now going to be the AD carry to go alongside Blitzcrank, and Wicked is going to play Irelia.
So he's going to be playing his signature champion. Soaz has clicked onto Jax right now, and it looks like potentially an Amumu if this does get locked in. It's something that's going to play into Snoopy's favor a little bit. He'll know what to do against Amumu because, of course, it is one of his preferred junglers. You were mentioning a little while ago the pro player picks. Snoopy actually picked Amumu out of his wide array of jungle champions. That was his preferred one. So we've got a good combination of ultimates right now. The Stranglethorn's going to knock everybody up. Curse the Sad Mummy, hold them in place. And of course, the longer this game goes, the more powerful Soaz on Jax is going to become. So this is something I like from Fnatic. Going, look, if we have to play their game and if we have to play their style, let's at least pick some champions that are going to help us out when we get to that time frame. Two more champions left to lock in, Yellow Pete and Crepo. So they're going to be locking in that jungler and AP middle. 20 seconds on the clock. Do you have any idea where they're going to go? Diana is available.
There's plenty of choices. There's plenty of CLG choices. Let's give a cheer for Lee Sin and Annie, though. Pretty impressive cosplay.
I like that. Just be careful when you summon Tibbers up there. I believe it's a fire hazard. In the bottom lane, Crepo has 3 seconds left to lock in, and it does look like it's going to be a Twisted Fate once again. That's going to play out very, very well for this top lane, using the Destiny into Gold Card, into Irelia, Blade Surge, and Equilibrium Strike. Nobody's going to be able to get away from that one, and we've seen that, you know, Froggen can play Twisted Fate well, especially in the team fight engagements, and maybe he's going to tidy up that early game farm.
Yeah, he had a little bit of an issue against Peke in lane. We saw Peke was actually out-farming Froggen, which is no mean feat. We all know how well Froggen does farm. He pulled it off, though. He's still got to pick his AP in and out. He's going to go up against the same champion. Ariana's there. She's open. He's what he played before. Works quite well, that Jax combo, in fact. So we could see the same thing. And it also works very well with a Amumu, of course. That bandage toss in with that ball on it is going to lock everyone up with the Curse of the Sad Mummy, bring them all in again. Or there's that option. There is this too. There is 15 seconds he could decide it around it. There is a very hard engage option there with Diana. Popping that Crescent Strike, landing on it. Luna rushing straight in, absorbing a lot of damage, shielding it with Power Cascade. Moon fooling everyone back in on top, followed up by Curse of the Sad Mummy and a bandage toss from Amumu, locking them down even longer.
The thing that I like about that is that it is an engaged comp. If a Rocket Grab lands onto Diana, that's not the end of the world. If a Rocket Grab lands onto Amumu or Jax, that's phenomenal. That's a free flash engage or bandage toss engage. So I don't want to call it a counter to Blitzcrank, but it plays into that favor, gets them closer, and it's a very, very aggressive team. Zyra needs to get relatively close to land those grasping roots and get the Stranglethorns up. Jax has to dive in, get in the mess, get in amongst everybody to put all the DPS down. The flip side, you do have a fair amount of AoE damage coming up from the players of CLG, but if they want to blow somebody up, it's single target focus. So, you know, Gold Card will go onto somebody, Rocket Grab, Equilibrium Strike from Irelia, etc. They're going to be focusing on trying to blow up one of these fairly tanky champions. Jax gets quite beefy. Diana builds sort of beefy if she goes Abyssal Scepter, and Zhonya's Hourglass, and of course Amumu, depending how well that goes. He's also going to build beefy, tanky Abyssal Scepter type items. So great champion selections, both of whom scale fantastically well into the late game.
Yeah, and as we do hit the last tick of our countdown, we are into our delay period, the 30-second delay. This could potentially be the last game of the tournament. CLG were boasting backstage how over the last two Dreamhack tournaments, Dreamhack Summer, Dreamhack Winter, they have not dropped a single game. Can Fnatic be the first team to not only take that game off them, but to take the second game and defeat them here in the final? Or will CLG reclaim their title and defend themselves as the champions of Dreamhack? Or what could be one last time. Let's hear it from the crowd. Who here is in support of Fnatic taking this game too? It's got a bit louder than it was in the last game. Everyone's supporting the underdog this time round. We do get Rachel. Rachel, yeah. Rachel's got more of a cheer than Fnatic. Maybe she can take it. Maybe Rachel can take game two.
That potential.
If you're here, who thinks CLG are going to take this 2-0, take out the final, and become Dreamhack Winter champions for 2012?
I think that's a pretty clear-cut winner, Panky.
I think Rachel still won on that front.
I actually think so too. There was more volume there, that is for sure. So the champions are busy loading up into this game. We have seen very, very little level 1 engagements. A lot of invades, a lot of stealing of buffs back and forth, but nothing has been converted to kills, nothing has been converted to anything exciting. If there was ever a time to try something, to make something happen, it would be now. And we'll have to see whether or not these teams agree. Fnatic have got nothing to lose. Fnatic are on the verge of placing second at Dreamhack. It's been a long time since they've been on the final stage, so it's not a disappointing result, but they want more. They want that gold badge.
No, this Fnatic team has been very impressive over the course of the last few weeks. As we said before, Rekkles is a very recent addition to the squad. They have been looking for a new AD for quite a while since Lamia retired. A little bit of a shame for the team. He was a very strong member, but finally, I think they found a good fit here in Rekkles. They've been doing some very solid training over the last couple of weeks before Dreamhack. They've been putting out the results now that they're here. This is their ultimate test right now. They didn't look too bad in their last game, in all honesty. They have still been together for, I think it's about a month tops as this solid lineup. It's not been a long time. With a little bit more training, maybe they can finally take CLG down later on.
Well, let's be honest. They didn't look bad. I would say that's a bit of an understatement. I thought they looked very good. Copenhagen Wolves made CLG.EU work hard, gave them a little bit of a wake-up, and forced them to go, all right, well, look, we've actually got to play this. We've actually got to get into this matchup. Fnatic pushed them even further. They were behind on gold, behind on kills, behind on map control. But once CLG slowed it down, once CLG forced them to go, look, you can't push further without giving up the game effectively, then it played into their favor. So really, really great play. There is a collection of champions now that can force that similar thing. If you get a Jax or a Diana fed and, that many kills, that much gold on them this early on, you could potentially see the game swinging even further in Fnatic's favor. There's a ward down for Fnatic, and they are aware of the CLG invade. They're going to be moving up from behind them, and we'll see how this plays out. Froggen has been left to stand guard. He is going to run in. Gold card goes down. Is it going to be enough? This is the question. Crepo continues to chase. Froggen does have flash available. The Crescent Strike is going to land. It's going to give vision. Is the rest of the team going to flash over? They're waiting for the calls. It doesn't look like they will. Rupture comes down from Cho'Gath, lands in the bush, and they immediately decide to back off. Have a look at Froggen now. He is sitting here. It's going to depend how he decides to suicide. I don't quite follow what's happening. 1, 2 hits. Soaz almost gets in range. He actually burned his flash to try get there with Leap Strike. The suicide from Froggen prevents first blood, and flash has been blown for Jax.
Cyanide managed to get his own blue buff through that. Creepo did try and stand on the far side of the wood and grab the buff away from him. Unfortunately for him, he only grabbed a little lizard, so it was not possible. But Cyanide does manage to get the blue buff. It's a nice way to fight off that early invade from CLG. They expected it to come in, they planted a ward for it, they were ready for it, they set up, they waited, and as a result, they did not get punished quite as hard as they were before. And on top of that, forcing Froggen to blow his flash so early on, as the grab goes out onto Rekkles in the bottom lane, Creepo landing there across the lane, forced the summon to heal out. There's not going to be too much more, but it was a little bit of aggression, and this early on, Rekkles was already taken a lot of poke from Yellow P, forcing him to go through a lot of health potions, and that summon a heal.
Yeah, exactly. If he gets caught by another rocket grab, it is potentially going to cost him his life. In the middle lane, Diana is going toe-to-toe with Cho'Gath and eventually forcing Snoopy out of the lane. XPeke now has a 2-level advantage over his lane counterpart, compliments of that suicide. And we'll see if it actually equates to anything, whether or not he can string together some additional damage now that he has more abilities at his disposal. And of course, being a melee champion, She really needs to get that Lunar Rush before she can dive onto anybody and secure kills. It's a little more difficult to get a full combo available when you can't do that. Now up in the top lane, Cyanide goes forward, blue buff goes down. Snoopy actually does manage to pick it all up with his smite. Gonna carry on fighting. Those tears are ticking away. Cyanide flashes over the rupture. Snoopy forced to flash through the wall. He gets to safety. But nevertheless, flashes have been blown. And Snoopy maintains hold of his team's blue buff.
There's mass pings down onto where CLG think Cyanide is, and in fact he is. There's a blue card on Froggen as well. The bandage just skimming past Froggen's face. He's just going to taunt him by throwing that blue card onto his backside as he leaves. Here's the thing, Snoopy had just died, and his red buff is still up. Cyanide, not the strongest invade champion, of course, but there is the opportunity to go in for that if they want. Fnatic's bottom lane is pushed up. CLG wouldn't be able to come and help Snoopy if he needed it. At the same time, Diana can do a lot of pressure onto Froggen to stop him coming in as well. We'll see what Cyanide's decision is. In the moment, he's hanging around this mid lane, but Froggen taking a very safe route around the top side. Banana Bush is not going to be in any kind of range for a bandage toss anytime soon. And you got to remember now, Froggen doesn't have his flash for another 110 seconds. That's why Cyanide is here and paying so much attention to him. But Snoopy, with a quick rupture, does find Amumu hiding in that bush.
Yeah, he's going to be able to force him back. Cyanide spent a lot of time waiting for something to happen, but unfortunately, nobody really put themselves in a position where they could get caught out. The top lane, 28 CS for Wicked's Irelia to 23 CS on Soaz's Jax. It is a noticeable difference, and truth be told, if it starts growing, then of course Irelia is going to play in their favor. Take a look at this wave. Jax is very, very overextended, pushing past the river. If Snoopy decides to come up to this top lane, which looks like he may be heading that direction, so it could be in a little bit of trouble. Rupture, Feral Scream, all of a sudden silence. Cyanide once again trying to pick up these ganks. He's tried to gank in almost all the lanes with the exception of the top right now. 2 or 3 attempts in the middle. And he's just going to decide to recall because simply put, Fnatic are just all overextended. They're all pushed too far down. They can't pick up a gank when you're that close to your tower.
Now, Cyanide trying to hide in this bush, waiting for CLG to come closer. Creeper has done a lot of face-checking these bushes in the last couple of games. He is toying with the idea of doing it again. We don't know if he knows Cyanide's in there, but we do have Snoopy coming out now. Round behind Soaz. The knockup's already landed. The silence is out. Soaz is going to get the stun down. He'll land onto both of them. Leads to a quick creep, but the Ignite's already ticking. And Wicked will pick up first blood on Irelia.
Extremely, extremely well played. It was exactly what we were saying at the beginning. Overextended, pushed too far, no vision available. Snoopy just waltzed into lane. An equilibrium strike from Wicked, immediately holding Jax in place, and he couldn't get anywhere. Crepo taking a lot of trade. Baz managed to catch Enrated. Power Fist goes up. Phosphorus Bomb is down. And a lot of damage onto Enrated. Both of the support champions forced low. Both champions forced out of that battle. And of course, Reckless and Yellow Pete, they're still doing the best they can in lane. 1 potion left for Reckless, no potions left for Yellow Pete. Crepo once again the victim of a little bit of poke from Enrated, but his mana pool is running low, so he's not going to be able to continue doing this. And look at Snoopy sneaking into this bottom lane.
Sneaking down towards the bottom lane as Cyanide is trying to sneak onto mid, but we'll now see Creeper coming forward. Snoopy coming out with the double buff from the river. Arcane Shift has already been used. The silence goes out both Reckless and Enrated. Nice dash back from Enrated to dodge the knockup, but it's not enough to save his life. The true damage goes down to Creeper. Flash forward from Reckless. He does pick up the kill, but the teleport from Froggen is bringing him down towards the bottom lane. Hasn't got a gold card ready, but the knockup will land on the turret. The kill goes to Yellow Pete. And they do walk straight out of that. They have Diana now coming down the river. They also have Cyanide coming out of the Fnatic jungle. Will Cyanide get here in time? Will Peke make his way down here? He's going through the tri-bush, going to come around behind the CLG turret. All 3 members of CLG are trying to recall. Only a level 6, in fact, on Peke. He's going to have Lunar Rush. Comes in for 1 onto Yellow Pete. Immediately tries to back away before the silence. The gold card comes in from Froggen. Knockup's going to be there. He moonfalls and back out. He will fall down to Snoopy. Now Cyanide's here, but he cannot dive this turret. It was a 1-for-1 trade. Yellow Pete for Peke.
Yeah, not enough damage. You've got to question yourself, the decision-making from Peke. He managed to pick 1 up, but imagine if the Crescent Strike had landed across all 3 members, and then the Pale Cascade, that AoE had caught them as well. They were very, very low. The potential for more kills was there, but nevertheless, trading 1 for 1, it's going to allow him to pick up those Sorcerer's Shoes, come back into lane with a minus CS advantage over Froggen, and hopefully with those Sorcerer's Shoes and Lunar Rush, it could be enough to allow him to pick up 1 or 2 more kills. The thing is, that was such great play from CLG. They could combo together the kills, and you could see it was just paragraph. The moment Snoopy got towards the dragon, immediately they started pushing in the bottom lane. But nevertheless, after the damage and forcing everybody low, Fnatic secure the first Drake, and they are still 1,000 gold behind though.
It's a nice play from Cyanide. He goes, okay, I'm a Amumu. We did just kill their bottom lane. They did a lot more than us. We do get a grab onto Enraged in the bottom lane. The knockup's going out. You see Rekkles landing a lot of damage down onto Pete and Creeper. Great snare and damage coming out from Enraged onto both of them. Pete going down very low. There is an Oracle's picked up from Snoopy. Catches him out. Rekkles not quite going deep enough to finish both of these off. He should hit level 6 shortly.
In the middle lane, back and forth pick, it diving onto Frog and forcing him very, very low. Another Crescent Strike lands. Lunar Rush is going to be available. It is available if he decides to chase. But Froggen is waiting for that potion to come back up. Snoopy's come back into lane to help out. And we see Peke moving towards that top lane.
Now, Rated Rekkles keeping more pressure down onto Pete and Creeper in the top lane. We're watching Peke as he starts to make his way top. We do see Soa's going in. He does get the stun onto Wicked. The Empowered Strike doesn't really go through, and Soa's actually turns away from it and then stops moving completely. Peke misses the Crescent Strike, goes in with the Lunar Rush. The Moonfall brings him back. He has to get stunned up immediately and has to back away. He does catch one more Crescent Strike, but that's just a little bit of harass damage. Snoopy managed to get a knock-up onto Cyanide over the wall as he goes through the river. But ultimately, pretty much a complete failed gank from Fnatic.
Yeah, unfortunately, Irelia immediately knew when Diana was missing, started backing off away from the lane, started falling back towards his turret, falling back towards safety, and was able to mitigate that entire engagement. Bottom lane is still extremely volatile. The poke goes back and forth, At almost any given time, these champions are below about 75% HP, and the trades are just going fairly evenly. Take a look at the poke there from Yellow Pete onto Rekkles. All of a sudden, he's now the low one. Rekkles is going to put himself in a position to land a Mystic Shot, and Yellow Pete's going to be the one in trouble. But Beckett will have something to say about this. There is a creep wave pushing up, and we'll see whether or not they can chain together another great tower dive. We've seen it in the previous matchup with Cyanide on Lee Sin. And does Peke have the ability now? We'll see the Grasping Roots don't manage to land. He decides to back off instead, not willing to risk the dive against a Blitzcrank who can simply knock him up in the air, silence him, and prevent him casting any more of his abilities.
Yeah, CLG pinged onto that side of the bush. They knew Diana was there. They knew how long he'd been missing from mid. He hadn't appeared anywhere else. They had their suspicions. They pinged it. They brought Snoopy down to check it. He has gone before Snoopy gets there, but ultimately it did scare him away. Snoopy has that Oracles. He is going to clear a ward in the bottom Tribush. So we'll see what kind of map control Fnatic can hold on to now that has been picked up. Cyanide, on the other hand, hasn't managed to pick his own one up just yet. But he is starting to try and make a play up here towards Wicked. We've already seen Wicked picking up a couple of kills. One, in fact, the first blood from the gang. The bandage just comes out. Max Range, Kirsten side, Mummy goes out. Wicked starts spamming his ult down. So is he going very low. They're nice on both top laners. But the kill will go to Jax before Wicked manages to get any damage done.
Yeah, really, really nice play. Beautiful bandage toss. It was effectively threading the needle. There was a number of creeps around. Absolute max range. Landed it onto Wicked. Held him in place and secured a great kill. So 4-3. They're slowly clawing their way back into this one. The kill did go to Jax as well, which is incredibly vital. The more gold he can get, the easier it's going to be to keep himself in the lane because he is 20 CS behind. Very, very early on, Irelia started to show some dominance in that lane. It was even for a small period of time, but at the moment it is being pulled back. Enrated once again gets caught out. Phosphorus Bomb, Stranglethorns goes down. Is Yellow Pete going to get knocked in the air? He does. That's going to slow him down. And that Stranglethorns alone saves Enrated's life, but he needs to start dodging those rocket grabs. That's the third or the fourth grab that we've seen this game alone, and it is forcing him very, very low.
So Creeper coming around again, trying to get another grab on the Rekkles. Can't quite manage it behind those creeps again. Expecting Rekkles to back away. He did not. Now they're going to auto attack through these creeps and try and push it up. But we do have Cyanide coming down. His Cyanide's got the red buff. The bandage just this time hits a creep. But Rekkles is constantly damaging onto Creeper. He's got the increased movement speed anyway. Now Cyanide's got the bandage just up again in a couple of seconds. 9 to be exact. Mana barrier does come up from Creeper, but he does get back safe behind another wave of minions. And unfortunately, that one missed bandage off from Cyanide means he does get out safely.
Yep, immediately going to back off. Blitzcrank has recalled, picked up his Heart of Gold. He's got that Fairy Charm ticking away to back up the fact he can continue spamming out those Power Fists and Rocket Grabs. When we watch Enrated playing Blitzcrank, he tends to max the Rocket Grab first. Crepo, similar build, 4 points into Rocket Grab, 1 across the board for the remainder of his abilities. And we'll see what he's going to be leveling up next. It's most likely going to be Overdrive, get himself that movement speed buff, get in range of Rocket Grabs a little bit easier. Soaz is having a better time of things in this top lane since he's finished off that Ninja Tabi. He's trading a little bit more evenly with Wicked. And we'll see whether or not this is actually going to convert into any kills. He's going to land that Empowered Strike, starts farming up. At the moment, just a farming passage of play right now.
So Haunting Guys has been complete on Diana. Peke has that now in the mid lane. It's going to give him a little bit more damage output. We do see Cyanide coming into Wicked again. Another bandage just edging past Wicked and landing on a creep instead. So Cyanide really making a lot of a lot of opportunities for himself, using these Moby 5 boots, roaming all over the map, giving himself plenty of opportunity to try and make something happen. They're not all coming from, well, they're not all coming to fruition. We do see a snare going down on Cripper on the bot lane. They're also going to come out from Enraged. He's going to knock him up. There's the exhaust as well. He's not going to be able to get away because he's in midair. Rekkles uses his ult, will get knocked up, but Crippo will undoubtedly fall.
Really, really good kill there for Rekkles. Double Dorans and a BF sword. He's opting to go for a similar build to what we've seen on Yellow Pete in the previous game, where he opened with a Bloodthirster, then followed that into a Trinity Force. We'll see what this BF sword is actually going to build into, whether it will be that BT or if it's going to become an Infinity Edge. But nevertheless, all of his auto attacks are going to be significantly more powerful with this particular build, but it does take a little bit longer to complete. So Corki will have that Trinity Force a tiny bit earlier, and obviously that does tend to be just that momentary power peak. At the moment though, Cyanide, he's pulled the Drake for the second time this game. In the middle lane, Pekka and Snoopy going head to head. Pekka did catch a Rupture, he was slowed. He's going to use that Lunar Rush to apply some additional damage. We can see Yellow Pete is poking around the Dragon as well. Dragon gets stolen away by Yellow Pete. He steals it with a Missile Barrage. He's gone very, very low though. Rekkles is going to carry on chasing. Now we see a Destiny coming out. We're going to stick with a big team fight. Cyanide in the background is going to try to get to safety. Rekkles is going to be the first one to fall. In fact, it's going to be Cho'Gath. Now we're going to come back to the big engagement. Flash, Curse of the Sad Mummy, just a moment too early, immediately trading back and forth. It's 2 kills for 1. Corki gets away with his life. Soaz is very, very brave now. This is 3 members of CLG. It is a low mana Froggen though, so he's not going to be able to get as many wild cards as he may want. Pekka, can you get in range? This is the question. Is going to land it. Lunar Rush forward. Moonfall holds Creppo in place. Decides not to go back. Is actually going to use the secondary rush. Gold card comes up from Froggen. Hold him in place. A beautiful rocket grab backwards. Pekka eats a towel of the shot for his damage, and CLG Wicked secures the kill. Manages to pick up the 3rd of that engagement and the blue buff. That's all he's going to need to take complete control of that top lane.
Yeah, Pekka, Creeper with another cheeky grab as Pekka just stayed around a little bit longer than he perhaps should have. So not only was the Dragon stolen away from CLG, Snoopy did lose an Oracle, yes, but they picked up 3 kills. Soaz is now taking quite a bit of punishment here from Snoopy and Froggen in the mid lane. Froggen does a good job of completely cleaning that minion wave out, forcing Soaz to leave as he has nothing to tank the turret for him. Now, we do see CLG with a slight 2,000 gold advantage here, putting Fnatic ever so slightly on the back foot. CLG's comp, it's not quite so single-handedly late game here this time. We do have Jax now on Fnatic. That's a pretty strong late game champion here. We all know how beastie this guy can get once he gets up to a Trinity Force and a Guardian Angel or something similar along those lines. So we'll wait and see what kind of impact he makes from Fnatic late game. We also have a Amumu mixed in there who becomes very, very strong. We have got Ezreal, who's a bit stronger than Corki as that late game scrolls on through, but if they do spread too far apart, of course, Corki at this rate, 5,300 gold to 4,800. They keep stretching their lead. He's going to get stronger before Rekkles, and then Fnatic are going to have an issue until Rekkles can catch up.
Yeah, that's so true. At the moment, though, they are keeping it fairly even in this bottom lane. 127 CS to 123. 1 kill, 3 assists in the hands of Yellow Pete. 2 kills, 0 assists for Rekkles. So gold numbers, they are on screen at the moment. 5530. There's a 500 difference right now. So, you know, noticeable difference in terms of total gold. Of course, there is a Dragon in there for both squads. But those additional assists really paying dividends for Yellow Pete right now, keeping him that momentary bit ahead. Small numbers right now, but it will of course add up. Yellow Pete does get snared. He eats a Mystic Shot as well as the Essence Flux for his troubles, and finally Enrated learns to sidestep that rocket grab. And not just one little combo or Destiny is being used. Where is Twisted Fate teleporting? It was to the top lane. Soaz has been caught. He ate a gold card. Beautiful juke. Nobody gets stunned by the counter strike. Soaz is going to be forced to flash away to safety. But of course, Flash takes longer to come off cooldown than Destiny does.
That's now a successful gank for CLG, blowing that summoner spell. Diana does take down the mid turret as that
Bottom
happens,
lane, Curse of the Sad Mummy. Yellow Pete almost going down, but he gets to Valkyrie and cleanse away. Or cleanse then Valkyrie away, rather. And Fnatic are just going to turn their attention to the tower.
Yeah, CLG did take top turret while there's going on. Fnatic are going to start taking bottom turret, but they have Pekka coming down now from the mid lane. He's going to try and get into range of the Creppo. Doesn't want to do it under turret though. Yellow Pete is low, but he will not dive any deeper. Creppo just stands there, waits. Just in case Pekka tries to come back again, he can land a cheeky grab. Instead, Enrated is here. Cyanide is over the far side of Gone. Creeper doesn't know this. He does have Froggen coming down the lane. Creeper does get found in that bush though, as that quick couple of plants and a snare gets placed by Enrated, and then he'll suddenly start to back away.
This is something that I want to see exactly what Enrated decides to do with his Zyra. We've seen it earlier in the day where he opted to go Sorcerer's Shoes into a Zhonya's Hourglass. He's just picked up a Chain Vest, so this signals to me that that is potentially the route that he's going. And it's an interesting build when you consider that your supports generally only offer some aura-based items, as well as being, you know, a utility type of champion. If he gets enough gold within the next, you know, not too long, the next 5 or 10 minutes to complete his Zhonya's Hourglass, he's going to be able to offer a good chunk of damage more in those team fights and be more than simply a utility monster. We do see the Fnatic are very, very brave. There is a pink ward down, and we're going to go in Vision. This is a very, very brave Baron. A CLG are completely unaware of this one. They're trying to 3-man Baron. Let's take a look at the HP. It's down to 2,300 hit points. It's down to 1,500 hit points. This is a 3-man Baron at the 18-minute mark. Fnatic with an amazing play right now. It's going to get signaled to CLG the second they show themselves. This top tower is here. CLG would potentially have heard some of that cheering. And now, of course, that they see Soaz, they can see the buff. They know the Baron has gone down, and that was a huge, huge play.
That was a massive play. No need to level out the gold count. It is going to give them this massive buff, which will level out their damage for a little while. They've got 4 minutes now looking to make a big play, but we do see him ready getting grabbed by Crepper in the bottom lane. Yellow Pete's already low, and that abilities have all been used by Enrated. Gets another snare onto Crepper. The exhaust is down. Records does use his ult. Quick flash from Crepper gets him away from that, but the mana shield gets popped, and now Twisted Fate is coming up behind this pair of Fnatic. He's already used his teleport, so he doesn't have that, but he's going to flash gold card on the Records. The grab goes out from Crepper. The snare's going to come out from Enrated, but it's not enough. Yellow Pete will pick up 1 kill, but Peke is now here. Cyanide is now here. This is all for Fnatic. Yellow Pete will drop down to Peke. Froggen's trying to try and finish off Enrated, but he's actually going to pass him a kill instead. Cyanide now with Peke chasing up this river, but Creepo trying to get past that Dragon Pit as quick as he can. He's got that overdrive, trying to get out as fast as possible. Cyanide coming around the top side of Dragon, Peke coming around the bottom. They're going to start closing in on Creepo from all sides. But while this is all going on, Wicked and Snoopy are completely shoving this top lane under the turret. So as isn't there, they bullied him off, but they're on to tier 2, and Fnatic have to give up this chase onto Creepo at the risk of losing more of their base.
Yeah, so true. Wicked and Snoopy immediately start recalling. We'll see whether or not Peke can get in range. He decides to go the long way around, anticipating the champions running back, not recalling. So they get away to safety without being seen, and they make it back. All of a sudden, the back of that play, picking up Baron, picking up a couple kills. Fnatic are only 400 gold behind. And for the next few minutes, they're in the power position. They've got the advantage of the Baron Nashor buff, exalted by Baron Nashor, additional damage, additional AP, health regen, mana regen, but they need to make use of it. They need to convert it to towers, convert it to dragons, or even convert it to kills, and then it becomes a truly, truly amazing benefit.
Producing Abyssal Scepter complete then on Diana. That's another big purchase for him. He's going to start outputting his damage a little more, going to make him a lot tankier. It's going to make CLG a bit harder to get through him. They are looking to try and get themselves their second dragon in the game. Let's call Pete stole the first one. Cyanide initiated that fight. This is the first one CLG have initiated, and it does go completely uncontested by Fnatic. Snoopy with a quick feast to finish it off. So Ezreal is taking this opportunity to shove the top lane right into that turret, finally trying to take that down. We do have teleporting out from Frog, and we'll see where he heads. He's got vision, of course, and the entire Fnatic team does head to the top lane to try and defend that turret. Jax is going to have a little bit of a harder time against that Twisted Fate because he can clear waves so quickly. And as a result, he's going to back off and start heading down towards the mid lane to join the rest of his team. The Baron buff is still on these guys for about a minute and a half. We'll see what kind of pressure they can put on this tier 2 turret. The Yellow Pete is shoving bottom, Froggen is in top. He's going to have a hard time breaking through this wall that is made up of Wicked, Snoopy, and Creepo.
In the middle lane right now, they've decided to siege it down. Transcendent Blades have come out. Yellow Pete has managed to successfully take out that bottom tower. So 2 towers apiece right now. Soaz has been left uncontested up top. He should be able to finish off that tower relatively soon. And the rest of Fnatic are holding CLG busy in the middle lane. Now that Yellow Pete has recalled, he has his Trinity Force completed, and he's deciding to move towards this mid lane area, or to where Fnatic are. We could potentially see an engagement. CLG need to be very, very careful though. That Baron buff is going to play into their favor. It's going to help them out regen. Bandage toss after a flash that actually misses from Cyanide. The Crescent Strike does land though from Peke. Decides not to jump on with the Lunar Rush. The damage onto this tower is very, very good. And we do see the dash into Equilibrium Strike. Soaz uses his ultimate, so he's got additional armor and magic resistance if he does decide to tank or go for an engagement. Are we going to see another rocket grab from Creepo? He's trying to land one. Oh, pops his ultimate just to clear out the wave there and silence any champions that would have been in range. But we do see a very defensive arcane shift coming out from Ezreal. He puts himself out of range, puts himself out of the line of danger of a rocket grab. and the tower's down to 391 HP. If Fnatic stick onto the siege, if they continue pressing the way that they have, they're going to potentially get their third tower of the game, and it may be an inner tower, which is extremely valuable.
The Baron has worn off now for Fnatic. They don't have that health regen, nor do they have the bonus damage or ability power. It is going to be 3 minutes till the next Baron respawns, and how much time do you want to waste pushing onto this COG turtle? Do you want to wait until the Baron completely respawns? No, you're going to have to wait until about a minute before, then you all back, you all shop, you spend the gold that you've got banked up, which is their target now. They've got about 1,600 on Zyra. That's enough for a needlessly large rod if she is indeed going Zonis. And some more gold on the other champions, 1,300, 1,100. That gold added into your bank, you then come back for another Baron. Whether you rush it or whether you actually fight for it is yet to be decided, and it's all down to COG. But Fnatic have the exact timer. They are waiting over the wall now to see if COG can push out onto them, but they're upping straight onto Rekkles' head. They know somebody's in there. As a result, Wicked is staying in this top lane on his own to try and defend this turret. Hiding in that far bush, waiting for something to come over the wall. There is a ward there, so Fnatic know he's in there. They saw him go in, they haven't seen him come out yet. Either he's recalled, or there we go, he now comes out later. The rest of COG are around the rest of the map. Fnatic have just delayed them, made them spread out. Now they're going to come back out and try and pressure onto this tier 2 again. As you said, only 390 health. It's going to go down very quickly, and this time COG do have to give it up. Fnatic are happy with that. They're going to go on base.
Not too bad at all. Pick up that additional gold. It's going to increase their tower kills to 4 in total now. And of course, all outer towers as well as that top lane inner. Oracle's Elixir doing some work for Cyanide, clearing out as many of the wards as possible. It's going to allow them to set up for Baron once it respawns very, very shortly. This may be the next big contest for the teams deciding who is going to get this next Baron. If Fnatic can pick it up, they put themselves in a very, very good position to continue sieging, continue trying to pick up more towers. Jax working towards that Trinity Force. He has a Zeal and that Phage in hand. Ezreal has just picked up a Zeal of his own and a needlessly large rod in the hands of Zyra, as you pointed out a moment or two ago. The damage is now going to go up for Zyra, so she's no longer just a mere support. She's got a lot of utility, and she's going to have a good amount of burst once she starts landing a full combo of spells and abilities. So Yellow Pete and Froggen need to be very careful if they get caught by that Grasping Roots.
Those plants are going to do decent damage in a fight too. If they get planted down, unless COG kill them very quickly, they're just going to sit there for the whole fight, slowly just attacking and attacking and attacking. And even if they're not doing damage, they're slowing the whole time, and every time they slow, they do some more damage. And that's just enough to be annoying, and it's just enough to whittle down that last bit of health COG have. We've said many times, we've seen teams get away with 20 HP, 30 HP, or even less. If you get one hit from a plant, that's that health gone. So with that doing constant damage throughout the course of the game, COG just have to be a little bit aware of that steadily going on through a fight.
There is something that has just happened that, it could potentially be the big determining factor in the next fight. Wicked has picked up a Guardian Angel. So he's going to come back to life in this next engagement if they continue to fight, if they continue to, poke against one another. Wicked can go deep, he can dive, he can risk it because he's got that additional life. It's now made it effectively 6 versus 5. The number of CLG pings in the Fnatic jungle near their red buff. They want to put some pressure on this middle lane tower, but they're waiting for the creeps. Fnatic are very, very spread apart. Take a look at this. Destiny comes up, immediately revealing the positions. This is what I was talking about. Now an engagement for CLG is bad. Wicked manages to get away just by flashing over the wall. But even if he had gone down, they could have potentially put something together. Great use of Destiny there from Froggen. Immediately getting vision. Flash from Crepo, immediately forcing the flash from Enrated. Both their summoner spells are now down. At least for the very next time they engage upon one another, those escape methods are no longer there.
Yeah, both teams knowing this next fight is going to be pivotal. Do not want to be the one that gets caught out of position. They want to fight on their own terms. Fnatic at the moment, they're defending their mid turret from the inside. They have got those creeps pushing forward. CLG ready and waiting. Froggen bases and buys himself out Lich Banes. That's a lot more damage for him, and it gives him that opportunity to split push a little bit, which is what we saw before. He'd push into a lane, grab a card, use the bonus damage from a Lich Bane, slap it down onto a turret. Move along, fire some wild guards, slap down the extra damage onto a turret. So we'll see what kind of play he makes from this. We do see CLG steadily pushing into this turret again. We have the rest of the CLG squad now grouping up. Froggen is joining the team, so is Irelia. And waiting, Fnatic are here. We do just see someone rejoining the team. We've got an animation bug, I thought someone was recalling. So is around one side, does get initiated on by Wicked, grabbed in by Crepo, immediately leaps away. There's Peke putting his full burst onto Crepo. He's going to be the first one to fall. There's the ult comes out from Zyra. It does knock Froggen and Wicked up. Froggen gets burst down by Diana. We do see Cyanide falling in the back of the fight there. Froggen picks up that extra kill. CLG in full retreat. Fnatic are chasing them down. Yellow Pete's used his cleanse, but he's very, very low. Wicked's got an Angel going to get popped. Yellow Pete will fall. Wicked's the last member of CLG standing. He comes back up after the Guardian Angel. It's an ace. Rekkles picks up the kill. Fnatic are going to start a push down the CLG mid lane. They should be able to grab an inhib off of this, maybe even a little bit more. There's a long death timer left up on CLG, 30 seconds on almost all their champions.
Take a look at this. They're going to carry on chasing. The inhibitor tower is going to fall. Now they're going to turn their attention over to the inhibitor. Still 28 seconds on Irelia, 20 across the rest of the dead members of CLG. Crepo, if he can get a threaded needle on Peke, he may try risk it, but this time decides not to. The rest of Fnatic are starting to fall back. There's a decent amount of time on the board. They're just going to recall safely, spend the money that they've just earned, and then set up for a Baron buff. It is definitely something they want to look at. 2,000 gold for Jax, 1,500 Diana, 2,000 on Ezreal, and 1,800 on support Zyra. Please keep in mind this is support Zyra that's building a Zhonya's Hourglass.
There's a Guardian Angel on Jack, goes back, buys it almost outright. He already had the Chain Vest, but that's there. He's suddenly become a whole lot scarier. He hasn't even got the Trinity Force yet, but we saw how much damage he did in the last game, and he was more of a stun bot than anything else. He got initiated on by Wicked. He had that stun up. Creepo grabbed him into the team. He stunned it. He immediately flashed and leaped away again, but the stun went down. It did its job, gave them the chance to initiate in onto Creepo. Diana blew him up. We do now see CLG making their way down towards the Dragon. They're going to get another 1,000 gold for free out of that one. And blue team does pick up a yellow P indeed. CLG, though, they weren't put off by that last fight. Yes, they're down by 2,000 gold now. The Baron is up, but they are still pushing now as a squad. They're the ones making the play towards this bottom lane, where Peke has to be very careful.
Oh, he may be found out. Yeah, he's still managed to sneak. The rest of Fnatic are coming in, but they are a little bit away. Oh, we do see a Lunar Rush onto the creep, so very nicely played there from Peke. He holds his position, doesn't get found out. But that was what we were talking about at the beginning of the game. If you pull a Rocket Grab onto Jax, he's just going to say thank you very much. Fair enough, he did almost die there, but he didn't. He stayed alive before Guardian Angel. He used that Grandmaster's Might, got all that armor, magic resist, leaped out of the battle, waited for Counter-Strike to become available again, leaped in, stunned everybody, and then just carried on. Shirelia's Reverie goes down, Cyanide is chasing onto Wicked. They're going to be very careful because Fnatic no longer have vision on this deep in the jungle. And immediately they realize that they're going a little bit brave and they start to back off. The Baron Nashor has been pulled. Let's have a look at CLG Vision. They don't have anything just yet. Destiny is not available either. We're going to pull this up onto full screen and we'll see how this battle takes place because this could determine the game. If Fnatic win it, they jump onto Wicked. He's gone very, very low. Feast onto Soaz. He's being dropped. Remember, Guardian Angel is there. Wicked is the first to fall and ready to jump into the middle of the team. The beautiful Banish toss. Curse of the Sad Mummy locks up everybody on CLG. Cyanide is very, very low. Jax has picked up the kill onto Snoopy. The Guardian Angel has been popped from him. Now they're going to carry on chasing. Can Diana jump onto Yellow Pete? Lunar Rush, Crescent Strike, Pale Cascade is going to go down, but it's not going to be enough for Yellow Pete. The Ignite does pick it up. A beautiful attack. Ezreal, Reckles closing it out. Is there enough time to close this game? That is the question. Members of Fnatic are low. Froggen is the only one standing. He is low on mana. He needs to get that back up. We'll see what Fnatic decide to do. Do they want to go for Nexus? Do they want to go for another inhibitor? We're waiting for the super creeps. It does looks like it's going to be the Nexus towers.
Yeah, Fnatic now with two super groups here in the lane. Only Froggen is left to try and defend it. 4 seconds till Wick is up. 9 seconds till Snoopy is up. They're going to dash in onto Froggen as he gets snared up. Peke is going to drag in with a Moonfall. Wicked comes up. Peke pops his Zonius, but both Nexus turrets are down. The Nexus is the focus for Fnatic. Wicked trying to mop them up here. Snoopy's now here to help out. Fnatic going very, very low, but Reckles is trying to focus down onto that Nexus. Cyanide still standing. Only Reckles left up. Are CLG going to defend the Nugget Nexus? Reckles is full. CLG have defended. This game is still going.
The game is still on. Fnatic only hold a 4,000 gold lead. They do have super creeps in the mid lane. They did not pick up the Baron buff, or it's just respawned.
Nope, Baron is still up.
Baron is still up right now. They did not pick that up. So if CLG can convert this, they're actually going to close that gold graph and get even more stats. The scary thing is now, this allows the opportunity for, if I dare use the word cheese, Fnatic could decide to just dive in through this open, exposed top or middle lane and try secure a Nexus kill. There are no turrets. They get an inhibitor, they get the Nexus, they win the game. 32 minutes on the line. CLG have been pushed harder than they have any time else this tournament. And Fnatic are in with a chance to force the deciding game.
So, CLG, they have 3 exposed inhibitors, one of them is dead. They do have that Baron, so they can use it now. They will just sit back and defend. They got the gold from it, they got the buff from it. Fnatic are going to come in towards them soon. Let's see how they use this. Fnatic are going to want to try and bully them off these inhibitors, take down all 3, let the creeps stream in. Once there's too many of them, then they'll take the fight. With or without the Baron, we'll see. CLG have that 4 minutes of safety now that they have this Baron on it. Fnatic not really the strongest of poke comps here, so trying to push CLG off of these inhibitors, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. They do have that hard engage though, so as soon as CLG slightly step out of position, which is easier than you think when there's so many creeps around, creep blocking is a big problem at the moment that a lot of players need to get around. Slight misstep one way from Froggen, slight misstep the other from Yellow Pete. There's the hard initiate, but they do catch and raid in the jungle. Quick Zhonya to avoid that stun, but a grab goes out. He does get his Stranglethorns down, does a lot of damage, and a knockup. Does get the passive damage down onto CLG, but the kill is a kill. Snoopy picks it up, and CLG are now defending 5 versus 4. Gives them a nice advantage as Fnatic start to push their bottom lane.
The thing that you need to remember and keep in mind, the fact that those towers are down and the inhibitors are exposed means that Froggen is less able to split push. If he decides to push down a lane, he has to run down the lane, which fair enough he can do very quickly. He does have Lich Bane and tier 2 boots. However, that Destiny is not really going to be able to be used offensively because there's a long time on that recall. If Fnatic do decide to jump in that back line, 8 seconds is more than enough time to take out a Nexus, and that's how long it's going to take him to recall and get off the farms and get into battle, things like that. So it's a scary, scary prospect. If Fnatic have bought themselves the time and the freedom to not worry about that split push, it's going to play into their favor. But look at this cheeky, cheeky play. They were waiting from somebody from CLG to push out, but it has not been the case. Nobody has moved further than they needed to.
Now, here's the problem for Fnatic. That inhibitor in the mid lane has respawned, so all the super creeps are going to stop. Their buffed side lanes are going to stop. CLG still have the Baron, and they're going to have to try and fight against that shortly. Baron buff is still there for another 2 minutes. Fnatic going to have complete free roam in the rest of the map. They're going to get the jungle buffs. They're going to get the dragon should it respawn if they want it. They're going to have to push in all the other side lanes without too much interference from CLG. But for the next 2 minutes, a minute and a half now, Fnatic cannot touch that CLG base. I think they're okay with that, to be honest, though. They've got a Guardian Angel to wait to respawn on Jax. Once that does come up, he's going to be level up there with Wicked. Both of those top lane bruisers are going to have their G out. We'll see who comes out on the top in that, and of course with the stun bot on Jax, just leaping in there, landing that stun onto as many people as possible. That could be all they need him for. Wicked doesn't have that kind of CC, not quite the same with the way her stun works, so we'll see whether they can make use of it. And of course there's 2 Zhonyas up here now on Fnatic that they can use, and they have been using to perfect timing to completely switch up these fights. They are still dancing around the top half of CLG jungle. CLG are looking for that grab. Creeper keeps coming out to this wall, trying to grab over the wall, just missing Peke by centimeters. Peke goes and stands on a wall, will fire a Crescent Strike back just to make sure they're gone. He is carrying what looks to be, is it just on my screen? Peke looks like he's got 2 blue buffs.
It does look like he has 2 blue buffs. It is only the one at the moment. So he's going to jump into the Wraith Cam, start clearing that out. Fnatic, they've got free reign of the map. It's their choice to do what they want, where they want, and that's going to play into their favor. The problem is, though, they are still completely even when it comes to items, when it comes to gold. The one thing that, again, that we keep bringing up and we keep mentioning, Zyra is dealing damage. Zyra has a Zhonya's Hourglass and a Void Staff. That is a support champion that is simply there for crowd control and now DPS. That is a lot of magic damage that is coming down from the remainder of the team, and it's throwing CLG off a little bit. They're not used to seeing that amount of damage from a support. So nevertheless, they are now in a position where if they make a mistake, it could cost them the game. One big team fight loss, not even a big one. If you leave Jax or Ezreal alive, it's going to lose you an inhibitor and potentially the Nexus because there are no towers to slow them down, and it is a scary, scary place to be. If there's any team that can, however, win a game without making any more mistakes, it is CLG.EU.
Death cap up on Diana now, so he was already making easy work of going through Froggen and through Yellow Pete. It's going to get even easier now. Hot knife through butter kind of standard. Guardian Angel is back up on Jax. And rated, they could kind of do with waiting for him to hit 6. He just hit 15. When he hits 16, he's going to get that tier 3 ultimate. That's going to be 400 base damage plus the 161 ability power he has. That's a massive AoE ultimate for damage and CC, and so far he's been placing that so well in these last few fights, really disrupting COG in their positioning. The Baron is now gone. It's going to respawn in about 3 minutes, and in actual fact, Fnatic roaming around there, checking for wards, planting their own wards to watch where COG are. Looks like they just want to have to wait for this next Baron to respawn, fight COG on their way to it, or even try and catch them out of position while Yellow Pete is currently in the bottom lane. Grab does go down onto him, rated, pulls him straight into COG. It is still 4v5 though in favor of Fnatic. Banditos goes out on the Wicked. COG has to go in full retreat. Wicked going to get snared up, flashes away. There's a curse of the sad mummy. Wicked and Snoopy are caught. Guardian Angel's going to go down. Froggen's on one side. Now Pete's come to join it. Banditos goes in on him. Cyanide's going to be the first casualty of the fight though. COG starting to lose people. Wicked's going to drop. Snoopy should be the next victim. He does flash away. Frogger's now in a horrible position, does get stunned up by Cho'Gath, does manage to pick up a kill onto Reckles though. Yellow Pete's down quite low. Pekka's landed a Crescent Strike on here, but Cho'Gath still has Guardian in, and Raid did open himself up to those kind of grabs. He has his possible Zyra pick here. Are we going to see it again? It didn't really make too much of an impact for Fnatic in that last game because CLG just didn't really mind about the CC. They were knocked up, they were silenced, they were snared, but they just took all that damage anyway. It didn't make any issue to them. Maybe you're going to look for something a bit more like a Taric that can get through that CC. Maybe you can reduce their armor, or maybe there's something else up their sleeve, maybe something more aggressive in the bottom lane perhaps.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Fnatic are looking like they're going to try the tried and tested Zyra support once again. It has been N-Rated's preferred champion this entire tournament. Ezreal has been locked in. Reckles is going to be running him this time. So Yellow Pete's not going to have Ezreal. We'll see who he's going to be comboed with in this bottom lane alongside Blitzcrank. The possibility for Corki is there. We have seen Graves once or twice. So we'll see whether or not that's actually going to play out. But that champion was not banned. Froggen is hovering over it, and we may get to see Wicked playing Irelia if the champion gets locked in.
See,